What's up, Canes fans? Welcome in to this edition of Canes Insight Live. As always, streaming on Thursday nights here, and we have some things to talk about. We've made it. It's fall camp, and listen, we do these lives every single week, and obviously with D Money, the information that he brings, when Brad Tejeda, when he comes on here as well, we have some guests, but summertime, you're always trying to fill in, information. You're always trying to piece things together, so to speak. We have real things to talk about now. Exciting with fall camp starting, and I want to talk about some of these interviews that have come out. Coach Cristobal seems pretty optimistic about things, and I want to talk about some things that I'm hearing, the buzz that's out there early on in camp. D Money, of course, in the near future, will be posting updates on the website as far as the information that he's getting and his ability to see what's going on. He always brings it to you. Obviously, everyone gets excited when D Money brings you the updates because he's very positive. But Coach Cristobal sounded pretty excited yesterday when he spoke to media, or 2 days ago, I should say. And it's one of those things where he's a straight shooter. He wasn't necessarily talking like this last year. So we'll get into things in just a minute here, as a lot more people continue to get on. And give me 1 second here. See if we potentially get D Money on the show here. But I want to get into some things that I'm hearing right off the bat. Offensive line, everyone knows that this is expected to be one of the strengths of the team. And man, is Francis Mauigoa, is he impressing some people? And I'm talking about people who have been there in person. Obviously, he looks the part, right? But he's starting right off the bat, and he's looking like what a top three offensive linemen in the country is supposed to look like right away. So he's someone that, because remember, NFL scouts are coming in there already right off the bat, and the scouts are really paying attention to the upperclassmen, the guys who would be draft eligible. And Francis Mauigoa is someone who they're walking in there and they're asking Coach Cristobal, who is this kid? Is he draft eligible this year? And I said it the other day on the forums. Mauigoa looks like a third or fourth year offensive lineman, already drawing comparisons to Penei Sewell. And I just got a text message right now, everyone who's on here live, from D Money. And this is what happens when you're on these live streams. You get it as it comes. D Money just dropped a new edition of The Bank. Everybody's been asking for it. Head to CanesInsight.com to go check it out right now. Again, D Money literally just sent through a huge update of The Bank with tons of recruiting info. We can kind of get into it here. I'm reading it as I get it here. And D Money, let's see if he's able to join the show. He said he's going to try to from his phone. And sorry, guys, like I said, I'm getting it as we. Laura Freeman talking about Branson Dean. That was my next update here. After Mauigoa looking the part, Branson Dean is a legit NFL prospect. This is a guy who can run. The only downside to him is that he's not going to be your prototypical big 6'3", 310 plus defensive tackle. You're looking at a guy who's going to be a little bit on the smaller side, but can really get upfield, really rush the passer. You pair him with a Leonard Taylor, you have a Jared Harrison Hunt in there. That's going to be a nice unit with an Akeem Mesidor, who to me might be the best defensive lineman on this team all around right now. Um, but yeah, Laura Freeman. I appreciate you bringing Branson Dean up. That was my next observation from people that have been there, that he is going to be a difference maker on this team right now. Let me get into a few of these questions here. Sorry, guys. I know I'm a little bit behind there. And then again, we'll get into the bank. Go check the bank out now. Fresh recruiting updates from D Money. Laura, when you say second team O line is scary, I'm guessing you're saying that in a negative way, or a lack of depth, or a lack of proven depth, which that's definitely the case. But tons of big time, frames and talents there. When you have a Samson Okunlola, who's going to be probably a backup at this point, who will probably work his way into some snaps. You have Matthew McCoy. Now that I think about it, you may be saying it in a positive light, that there's a lot of potential big time talents there. But I'm excited about what that unit could be. The interior, there's some questions, right? I definitely think that that's going to be a weakness. That's why you had to take a Luke Cristobal, for example. But we'll see what happens there. Steven, I know, yeah, you've been coming on here and talking about the D tackle spot for a while, and they aren't huge there. That's definitely something that could see itself over the course of the year become an issue. But you have a lot of bodies that you can move around up there, and especially in the pass rushing situations, they're going to be dangerous. So let's look at a couple more things in terms of buzz. Ray Joseph, he will be a difference maker offensively for this Canes team this year. In almost every interview that the offensive players are doing, and he's coming up in these interviews, and people are talking about not only his speed is the first thing that comes up, but which Coach Beard spoke about on media day as well, but the work ethic and just the character that you're getting in him. There's not much of a learning curve there in terms of how to be a top level collegiate football player, right? So he came in, and we've already heard the stories about him from the spring in terms of getting in there early, getting on the jugs machine. Xavier Estrepo, who is as hard of a worker as anybody, in his interview right away said, "Oh, Ray's my guy." He has that respect from pretty much everyone on the team right off the bat, because they see how much he wants it. They see how much he's putting into his craft, and talent-wise, he's got it all. So exciting prospects for him. Sorry, guys, I'm making sure D Money has his link to get on the show here. Waiting for him to talk about the bank, because I can get into it, but again, he just dropped it now fresh. So Heel 919, Pete, can you make the work one last time? You never know, man. Maybe one of these days I bring the work out of retirement, but I think the bank is doing very well for itself. Let's just say that. If you guys don't see, I have my Inter Miami Messi shirt right here. Biggest club in North America. I am an Inter Miami Ultra now. So it's just awesome to see what's going on here in Miami. Waiting for D Money to join the show now to talk about the bank. A couple more notes here. James Williams. Scouts are so intrigued by this guy, but they need to see more. Right now, this has to be looked at as a bounce back year for him. Physicality needs to take a big step up for him this season. I think it will. I think he was dealing with a lot with the shoulder issue last season. I don't think people realize that a lot of what is portrayed as him maybe not wrapping up and things like that was a physical thing for him, but he really needs to embrace being a box safety. He has to watch Cam Chancellor over and over and over again. That's what he can be. That's what his physical capabilities are. He's not a free safety who's going to be back there, you know, seeing the entire field and being back there in deep coverage. He needs to be up there near the line of scrimmage. And I think that's now what Lance Guidry and his scheme, that's how they're going to utilize him. He just really needs to embrace that role because he is very intriguing to these scouts. But need to see a better product on the field for him from him. Jadis Richard from Vanderbilt. We saw the tweet today, I think, from Josh Pate, who does a very good job with his content. And I know that he's someone who he came down to Miami during spring and has some connections down in Coral Gables, but we're hearing very similar things. Jadis Richard, from the time Miami got him, they understood that they were getting a guy who had the physical tools, length, twitchiness, versatility, as Coach Cristobal said, and I'll get into some of these interviews. He is a guy, and Miguel Mendez. You said it, I think, before the broadcast even started. You said Jadis Richard is him, and here you go again. He seems like he's going to be a big time player for this defense in the secondary. Can move him all around. He's played boundary corner. He's played nickel. He's played free safety. Very valuable piece for this defense, as pretty much all of these defensive backs are getting cross-trained to play all the spots because, as Coach Cristobal said, you can't rely on just Cam Kitchens. You know who he is. You know he's an All-American. James Williams, his role is going to be different this year, but there's going to be some guys in that secondary who get moved around in different roles. But it seems like he's very excited about what that group can be. Corey Couch has played a ton of football at Miami. Devontae Brown, I've said it time and time again, I would expect him to be a starter on this team and was squarely on the NFL radar last season. Didn't have his best film, but is going to be, again, a guy like him. This is a redemption opportunity for him on a very big stage in the ACC, having big time opportunities against the likes of a Texas A&M. So he has a real opportunity with his length, with his speed. Needed to add some good weight, right? That was one of the questions with him. Ball skills, needed to see what he had there. But at the cornerback spot, he's someone I'm very excited about. Obviously, his brother, Damari Brown, someone that Coach Cristobal also, singled out. Jaden Davis, coming over from Oklahoma, played a ton of football. Daryl Porter had a great spring. Has played a lot, played a lot at West Virginia, played last year at Miami as well. So the theme at that spot, which I think we see at a lot of these positions, which goes back to what I said from the start, Coach Cristobal seems way more optimistic right now than he was this time last year. Competition across the board. You look at the quarterback spot, Tyler Van Dyke, we all understand that he's someone who has all of the arm talent in the world. We've seen him do incredible things in terms of making all the throws. Also has had some down moments at Miami last year. I think there was a lot that went into that. He's got a lot to prove, but you have a real talent there at quarterback. Do you wish you had another guy behind him who was more proven, right? Who could really push him a little bit if things started to get ugly like it did last year, right? Yes, you do. But at the same time, you have a Jakari Brown who has taken snaps at Miami in, you know, road atmospheres, right? Has had great flashes, but we understand that he has a lot of growth at this point of his career. Red shirt could be possible if a guy like Emery Williams comes in and shows that he can uh, also be a solid backup at this point of his career. The returns on him early have been good, but quarterback, yes, you wish there was maybe another veteran presence behind TVD, or when I say veteran presence, another guy who you really would feel comfortable with if things went south for whatever reason, whether it's injury or poor play. So, yes, there's not as much depth there. Offensive line, I'm feeling very good about what's happening there. Interior, yes, you wish that you had another body that you could throw in there, but a lot of cross training is definitely going to be going on at that spot. Running back, Henry Parrish, you know what you're getting there. Don Chaney, when healthy, I think could be a really, really good player. We've seen it and looked good in the spring. Um, AJ Allen coming over from Nebraska. They have very high hopes for him. Mark Fletcher, we know the physical presence he's bringing to that room. Chris Johnson, excuse me. TVD mentioned him as a guy, speed that hit, we know what he's bringing to the table there. So you have some bodies there, running back. Again, who's going to emerge and be the guy remains to be seen. Henry Parrish, you know what he is, and you know what he's going to bring every time out. He can pretty much do it all in terms of uh, reliability and blocking and catching out of the backfield. But to me, I think Mark Fletcher could end up being someone who pushes and ends up being an impact guy 100%, short yardage and goal line for sure with his 230 plus pound frame. Remember, get any questions in that you guys have here on the side. See if D Money ends up joining us. But let's get into a few of the other interviews. Akeem Mesidor, man, this is a guy who I don't think Canes fans, well, people see his ratings and stuff on PFF, which he grades out very high there. But this is someone who he's somewhat of a tweener for the NFL level, but his level of production and consistent getting into the backfield, right, is something that has him squarely on the NFL radar. It was interesting because he said yesterday that he's really working on his hands, right, and improving using his hands with his pass rush. And it's interesting because he's pretty self-critical there. I've heard from scouts and NFL scouts that that's one of his strengths. So you love to hear someone like him who already has done a lot of great things at Miami and is just continuing to evolve his game. I think we have D Money here. D. Let's see. I have him added to.
Added to.
There we go.
There we go.
D.
D.
Let me see. Having some technical. I'm going to remove him until he tells me he's ready. But sorry, guys. I'm trying to get D Money squared away here. Again, if you're just joining the show, big update on the website of recruiting on the bank that D Money puts up every week. He's going to be joining. There you go, Cameron. Cam Belcher, hit that like button. Like and subscribe, Canes fans. If you're new here, we do these live shows every Thursday. Also have the podcasts that we put out every week. During the season, we have the preview and the post-game episodes as well. So excited to continue bringing you this content as the season goes on. I'm going to try to bring D Money in here again.
Hey, can you hear me?
D Money, yes, I can.
What's up? Sorry, I'm in the car. Just got out of work. Working day and night like MJ out here. So sorry for the no cam, but I wanted to
Listen, people
jump
don't
in. I got some
people
some
don't
fresh bank.
ask people don't ask for you for your face. I'll tell you that much. They want your recruiting information. All the fiends out there are waiting for you. We've had a ton of comments even before this. People asking on Twitter when the bank was coming out, when the ATM was coming out, and the new bank just dropped. So I know you're in the car right now, but if you want to get into the update that you just posted on the website.
All right. First of all, it's not true. You know, the female demographic of this YouTube spikes every time I make an appearance on this thing. That's number one. We got the analytics for that. So that's the first point. Number two, as far as the bank, yeah, I mean, I just dropped it. It's on CanesInSight. You check it out, the front page. A lot of fresh. I mean, just off the just off the boat, recruiting news and team news, which we'll be giving you all camp and everywhere else. But yeah, man, if anyone's got questions, shoot, I can't read them, Pete. So read them off and let's see what's going on.
Well, we'll get it. I mean, I'll kind of go down the list here with your update from the bank. But you talked about Colin Simmons. Obviously, he announced that he's going to be making his decision soon, and it seems like Miami's right there in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they weren't for a while there, but I sense a renewed confidence with him. I didn't hear anything in specific, but I think Miami's feeling that they're in that. LSU's defensive line coach just stepped down for health reasons, so that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, he was projected to LSU, so keep an eye on that situation. And just a general comment, that's my first thing I said in the bank, but when I get vague, kind of ominous responses from my sources, usually it means something. The last time, I just heard, hey, watch for fireworks in the next week. We got JoJo Trader and Artavius Jones. Those who follow the bank, got that tip. So I got a similar tip. Just so that, basically from now until the first game, this could be a hot time in recruiting. It's a weird time to make a run, but I'm feeling a lot of confidence, and we'll see where it goes. But those who have followed the bank for a while know there's a pretty good track record when those kind of statements are made to me, and I'm shared with the people. So let's see where it goes. But yeah, Colin Simmons, I sense renewed confidence there.
Zaquan Patterson, another guy
Nope.
that it seems like they feel good about.
Yeah, no change. I know Michigan feels like they're doing good work there. Miami feels very, very, very strong on Zaquan Patterson. We'll see. This was not told to me. I don't know who the next commitment is at all. That's the truth. But if I were just a betting man, based on all the things I've heard, he might be the one to keep an eye on. That's not I don't know this to be a fact, but I get the sense that one's getting closer.
David Stone is another guy that you mentioned along with Colin Simmons as Miami still being in the mix for it. It seemed for a while that it looked like Oklahoma had made a big move, but this is recruiting.
Miami's the mom's choice. That's number one. Miami, has a very good NIL package for Stone, and he's visited a lot. And he sees these IMG guys like Riley Williams and Francis Mauigoa doing things in Miami. So a lot of factors at play for David Stone at Miami. Obviously, Oklahoma is a major contender, but I sense more confidence. Similar with Simmons, I sense more confidence with him today than in previous conversations as I talk to multiple people. So we'll see how that one goes. But Miami's in it, and he's the kind of guy, he's not a straight line guy. There's ups and downs, there's twists and turns. So we'll be interested to see where that lands. Miami's right there with that one.
Chris Cole, another one that's kind of been a roller coaster because there were some crystal balls that went to Georgia. And I think last week when we spoke, the confidence was kind of waning a bit on Miami's side, but that one's not over just yet.
No, that's definitely not over. Georgia, I get the sense, is playing games. They're at that position where they're tight with numbers, and they might be trying to, work different angles and try to do different things. And when that happens, Miami and schools like Miami have an opportunity to slide in and make something happen fast. A lot of people said Chris Cole was going to be committed to Georgia by now. I said that Miami felt confident with him still. So a lot of time has passed since those crystal balls. He's still not committed to Georgia. I think Miami's in the mix. Tennessee's in the mix there. And we'll see. That one could resolve sooner than later, one way or the other.
Elias Rudolph was a candidate to flip potentially on his visit to the barbecue, but he came and went without doing so. What's the latest there?
Yeah, that's one that, we were the first people to report on the bank that Elias Rudolph was still in the mix. I got the tip that he would be coming on that visit a few weeks ago. I think there was a lot of optimism around the program that he would flip once he came down to do the visit. He's now in Ohio and Cincinnati, where he's originally from, has transferred out of Deerfield Beach. So there was hope that it would happen. It didn't. He's got a lot of pressure down there at Ohio. It's a Midwest Big Ten country. There's people around that have been at. There's people in Michigan that have Cincinnati ties that are working that, but Miami's in the mix, and obviously he visited and didn't tell Michigan. Michigan wasn't happy about that. So we'll see. A guy I would use as an example, different kind of kid, but Collins Akiapong, who was committed to Michigan for a long time last year when people thought he might be ending up at Miami, ended up flipping at the end. So we'll see. Miami's working that one.
Cam Franklin took his fifth or sixth visit to Miami, but this time brought his grandmother along. What's the latest there?
His grandma's sort of the key to that recruitment. She loved her visit to Miami. I think with Franklin, I don't think he's a guy that's like playing the game maliciously or anything like that. He just, it's hard. A lot of people coming at you. It's hard to say no to people. So I think with him, he's just having a tough time making a decision. I don't think he's not a cynical kind of recruiting process where he's just playing everybody off each other. I think he just generally has a tough time kind of locking it down. But he's visited Miami so many times. He brought his grandma to Miami for a reason. She is the key to that recruitment. She has not gone on many visits at all because of just her age and her health. So that's a big sign. Visit went well. Miami still has a great shot there.
Kevin Riley, obviously the big-time running back commitment out of Tuscaloosa that the Canes beat out Alabama for. He worked out when he was down here, and according to what you posted on the bank, it was quite the impressive showing in front of Canes coaches.
Yeah, I was told that Kevin Riley's workout was the best workout of any, not running back, any player has worked out on Green Tree, high school player, since the crystal ball era began. Wow. Alvin Kamara comps as far as how he was moving, catching the ball. He's got good size. They love everything about Kevin Riley. They think he's the best running back really in the country. That's what they're putting out there. So, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, he's from Tuscaloosa. Alabama is going to make a run there. They want him, but I'm told that it was a very, very, very good visit with Kevin Riley in Miami. He seems very solid. He's telling people he's solid. So, again, it's recruiting. No one's ever 100%, but where we are right now with Kevin Riley is a good place, and the player is even better than we thought, now that we've laid eyes on him up close on our field.
Eddie Pierre-Louis, the offensive lineman that you reported a few weeks back, Miami was still heavily in the mix for. He took his visit down for the barbecue. It seems like it went well, but also doesn't look like he's going to be making a decision anytime soon.
Yeah, he likes recruiting. You see him with the hats and the glasses and stuff, looking like PM Don. He's a character. He likes recruiting. He's going to be recruited. He's a big time target for Miami, and they had a good visit with him, and they like him, and that will continue. But that's not something I think is imminent in any way. I think he's going to go through the process, and Miami will be one of the teams in that process.
Jalen Hayward, after he decommitted from Georgia, there was a lot of talk if Miami was going to get themselves in the mix. it doesn't look like there's much that's changed there. Kind of just trying to figure out if he's someone that Miami would end up taking.
Yeah, Miami did their due diligence on him and was doing their due diligence on him. I get the sense that Hayward is kind of, he sees himself as a top 100 player, which he is as far as what he can do on the field. So I think he might have been expecting people to just, once he decommitted from Georgia, everybody was just saying, hey, jump aboard. And that didn't happen, not only with Miami, but with other schools. So, yeah, that one's cold right now. I think there's a few things going on there. But he was supposed to visit, and that didn't happen. And I think that's telling.
Nino Francavilla, the offensive line commit that people were kind of all over the place about this week because he doesn't, former Harvard commit and wasn't a highly rated guy. But something tells me Miami got a really good one there. And it seems like the staff has their reasons to believe that as well.
Yeah, this is a staff that has a lot of credibility with offensive linemen. If you look at their offensive line, that was the best offensive line in the country probably last year with Bo Nix, all guys that Cristobal recruited and Mirabal recruited. There were multiple 3-star guys there. And the year before that as well. They'll get their Penei Sewells just like Francis Mauigoa, Samson Okunlola, who I'm sure we'll be talking about. But those guys are complemented by very good evaluations and guys who can work. Ryan Walk, who I know just joined Miami staff, was a very, very underrated player coming out of high school, ended up being really, really good starter for Oregon, just graduated and joined Miami staff. So Miami does these kind of things with Nino. They see a Canadian kid, maybe under the radar because of that. He's big. He's going to be a 300-pound center when he arrives, so he's going to be big just from day one. 4.8 shuttle, super smart. Was a Harvard commit before flipping to Miami. So a lot to like there. Think of Harvard centers, Matt Birk from the Minnesota Vikings. So it's a position where smarts matter. He's got size. He ran a 4.8 shuttle, so he has athleticism. This is not a pure overachiever by any means, and it's someone that Miami is very excited about. I think when you have these guys that show up at camps, no one wants to be the first offer. This guy killed it at NC State, killed it at some other P5 camps according to their own writers, but then no offer. It makes you wonder. Miami, he killed it and then didn't get an offer for a few months. But I think once people got comfortable that, hey, this guy is the guy, let's just say a few weeks, not a few months with the Miami offer. But, the more you watch him film and you say, why don't we take this guy? He's got the size. He's got the quickness. He's tough. The film is good. He killed it at the camp. He doesn't have to lose weight. He's super smart. Why not? And I think they pulled the trigger. They wanted a pure center prospect, and that's what Nino provides.
D, I just want to tell you, we have over 140 people watching live right now. I appreciate everyone who's on. Cribby, who the legendary Cribby just commented, he's watching now. We have a question here before we continue with the bank from Laura Freeman asking if Tommy Kinsler is playing tackle or guard.
Great question, tackle, which I think might surprise some people. But this guy is a freak of nature. He's got super long arms. I think he might have the longest arms on the team. And he can move, man. Watch his highlights. He played tackle in high school, and he could really, really move. So he's playing tackle. He's doing a terrific job. And I'll just jump to I mentioned this in the bank, but Miami thinks they have 3 first-round offensive tackles, offensive linemen, between Francis Mauigoa, who, Pete, I don't know if you already talked about it.
Yep.
What we talked about before.
Yeah, somewhat, but
that the scouts think this guy's as good as any player on the team right now. So that's Mauigoa. Samson Okunlola, I was told, made the biggest jump on the team in this summer. He came in a little weak. Still, the talent was obvious, but he was a little physically, he was a high school kid. I heard he's made a huge jump strength-wise, then showing on the field. Super talent. I'd be surprised if he doesn't start at some point this season.
I told someone that literally earlier this day in the conversation that I was having, that we talked about. I told them the same thing, that by the end of the year, he's going to have started a handful of games. I completely agree.
Look, injuries, who knows what else happens, but that's the impression I get just from people that are around the program. I think Samson starts at some point by the end of the year. And then Kinsler's playing tackle and playing great, and they think he's a first-round talent. Size, athleticism, strength, the whole nine. I mean, I don't have the roster in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he's like 6'7", 340.
Yeah.
Yeah, another guy that's huge that was here last year, but I don't think people realize how big he is. Matthew McCoy.
McCoy.
I've been talking about him for a while on these podcasts that people don't put him in those categories, but he's 6'7", 330 something, and I've seen him in person. He looks it. Former tight end, so the athleticism is there. He's a guy that's in the mix. So Miami's just got a ton of really, really good offensive line talent, and that's the biggest difference from this year to last year. Is the talent is there's just size, athleticism, upside, and there's not just two of them. There's 8 of them.
Right. Branson Dean is flipping to the other side of the ball. Another guy that I called you earlier and I told you, hey, I'm hearing that this guy is turning heads, and not just, it's one thing to say he's doing well in practice but when I'm getting calls saying this guy's a legit NFL prospect, that's big piece of info, because I don't think that people are really looking at him as a guy who is an impact player. He comes from Purdue. He's not the biggest profile at the defensive tackle spot, but I have pretty high expectations for him. I think D is muted there. Let's see if we can get D Money back on here. Looks like he just dropped, but look, I was talking about it there. Branson Dean, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and then D posted in his update of the bank, he's someone that is making an impact. Excuse me, making an impact right away. Posted about him as well in his update there, saying that the buzz is real. I mentioned him, Jaden Davis. People don't realize this. He's played a ton of football at Oklahoma here. I have D.
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I was just talking. We were talking about Branson Dean. How he's the guy who's going to be a big time player for this team.
Yeah, and actually, I gotta run. I gotta buy some present from the kids or something at Target before it closes, or my wife's gonna kill me because the evidence of me doing circles around Midtown is on YouTube. But yeah, so Branson Dean, I watched him. When he committed, no one really got too excited because we were looking for a big defensive tackle like Darrell Jackson. But if you watch him in the Big Ten, the guy's killing Iowa, he's killing Michigan. He's good. He's just not. He's similar to Leonard Taylor, but that's not a bad thing. Pass rushing defensive tackles are a premium. Look at Kalijah Cansey going first round. So he's someone I really, really like before he did anything. Then I heard he was doing good in workouts. Then I heard that, what you told me about the scouts. And then speaking to people today, they're saying he's the first name out of people's mouths after after the 3 freshmen. So he's doing good. James Williams, hearing a lot of good buzz on him. Jadis Richard, stud, starter. Only question is he going to be corner? Is he going to be safety? Is he going to be nickel? We'll see how the injuries go. But he can do all 3 of those things. But I'd be shocked if Jadis Richard, if he's healthy, is not a starter on this team. But hey, I got to run. Subscribe to the podcast. Go to the bank on CanesInSight.com. Check that out. That's fresh off the boat, man. You're not going to get any better.
Yes, sir. All right, D. Have a good night, man.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, man. I'll just kind of wrap up a few things he didn't mention on the bank that you hear this in the interviews as well. He talked about the receiver position, how much that group has kind of taken the next step in terms of depth. Colby Young and Restrepo, excited about them. We know what they can do a little bit more from a production standpoint than the rest of the guys. But Jacoby George had a really good spring. Cristobal talked about his maturity, taking the next step. Ray Joseph, I talked about it earlier in the show. He's going to be a star here in Miami, and D Money said that as well. Emory Williams, another player that I mentioned in terms of the quarterback position and kind of stacking up how things are going to play out there behind Tyler Van Dyke. But he's gotten some buzz in the early parts of camp, the part of the practices that media can watch. and he has carried that over, according to D Money, to the closed sessions of practice that media is not watching. So, man, you hear what Jakari Brown was saying in spring about how Emory Williams was pretty much getting up earlier than him every day, and he was pretty much the alarm clock that Jakari would base himself off of in terms of when he had to get to workouts, because Emory was so on top of things. So you match that work ethic with really good physical ability. I think more than people gave him credit for. This is a guy who was an Elite 11 quarterback. So excited about what he could potentially do if he gets an opportunity. And these scrimmages coming up will be a big testing ground for them. And then the last note that D Money had was Mark Fletcher and AJ Allen. Awesome seasons, I should say, spring coming in, and summer, guys that in the workouts impressed right off the bat. And that running back spot, you're becoming a strength now with a Henry Parrish that you know what you're getting. Don Chaney, when healthy, brings a lot to the table. The freshman outside of Fletcher, you have Chris Johnson, who brings that speed element to the backfield. AJ Allen is someone that they think is going to push to be maybe the guy. So a lot of exciting things happening there in the backfield. Yeah, the receiver position is the depth is definitely definitely getting better there. Take some more questions here before I wrap things up. Champ 100, I believe, although some people believe our interior D line slightly undersized, they are deeply talented. They are very deep and a lot of versatility. Guys that you can throw different looks at at offenses, excuse me, and you're going to be really quick on the interior. Those pass rushing packages, I think, could be very intriguing with what Coach Guidry is going to throw out there. And remember, these guys have, you know, Jason Taylor's working with the edge guys, but a lot of those guys are going to be playing on the inside as well. So I'm sure they can use a lot of the knowledge they're getting from JT there. How does Tyler Harrell look speed and body stature wise? The speed is off the charts. I mean, this guy is arguably the fastest player on the team. He's healthy right now. And look, this is a guy who's played not the last couple years, but has played a lot of football coming over before Alabama was at Louisville. So that receiver room, again, a lot of unproven guys, so to speak, but different chess pieces that you can move around, and a lot of guys who bring something different to the table. Starting defensive prediction. Let's see. Mesidor, Leonard Taylor, Branson Dean, Chance Williams, Francisco Malgoa, Wesley Basanth, Jadis Richard, Cam Kitchens, Devontae Brown, James Williams. That's 10 players. I'm missing another defensive back, Jaden Davis. I think he would probably be or to Corey Couch, one of those two. I think that's probably pretty accurate prediction. Let's see. I'll come back to this video in 3.5 weeks, but that's my best guess right now. King Kyle, do we finish with a top 10 class? Yes, I believe so. I Lean Property Solutions. I did he's saying Brown from UCF. I did say Devontae Brown. I think that the starting corners will be Devontae Brown, Jadis Richard, and Jaden Davis, or to Corey Couch. I mean, there's going to be a lot of movement there. There's going to be a lot of rotation. Daryl Porter will be heavily in the mix there. So Damari Brown will play a lot. Devontae's brother. So Dick Weed 50-50. I do think Nigel Lee Kelly over Chance will see itself play out, as the season progresses. I think the staff maybe trusts Chance a little bit more right now. Nigel Leak will be in on third downs, though, and on second and longs and pass rushing situations. I'll tell you that much. He'll play a lot. Jafari Harvey, another guy. I don't want to say I forgot about him, but he's someone that will play a lot and probably will start. But I know they trust Chance a lot, so that goes a long way. Not that they don't trust uh, Jafari, but I'm just saying over Nigel Leak, I think Nigel Leak still has some growth to do. Remember, Nigel Leak came in at a very young age last year. He should really be a true freshman this year. So I think he's someone who will be more of a package guy. Now, might lead the team in sacks, but he's someone who still has some growth to do. Dick Weed, he's asking if I like Lance Guidry's philosophy of playing the best players as opposed to a heavy rotation. I listen, all of these philosophies are great until it plays itself out on the field. I think there will be a lot of rotation, just at least early on, because you're trying to figure out who's going to be the guys who step up, right? So we'll see. And I think that, like I said, it'll play itself out, but it all sounds great until you get here and you're still trying to figure out because I think Gidry maybe understands that there's going to be a learning curve with his scheme. So rotation is going to be necessary right off the bat. Is Zion Nelson done? King Kyle's asking. I don't think he's done, but there is certainly question as to whether or not he's going to be fully available for this season. Trevon Thaddeus asking about Mark Fletcher. Haven't heard much on him. Listen, man, if you've been listening to these podcasts and coming on these lives, you would have heard about Mark Fletcher because he's been one of the most impressive guys in terms of the workouts since he's been on campus. 225, 230-pound Mack truck at the running back spot, came in physically ready, and just another guy in terms of the demeanor that you're looking for to be able to make an impact right away. Fish Fan Miami talking about Robert Stafford. Definitely think he's someone who could get some playing time late. Obviously, one of the top athletes in the country coming out last year, but it's early. It's very early in camp. These scrimmages will show us a lot. Malik Bryant, yes, is playing the Mike spot right now. Champ 100, I don't have anything on Chase Smith, but last I heard, he should be ready soon. So, all right, Canes fans, I'm going to wrap this up now in the next minute or so. Appreciate everyone for being on here. As always, the drought's over. Fall camp is here. Finally have real football to talk about. And we have scrimmage coming up next Saturday, I believe. So keep it locked to Canes Insight. John Z, I'm sorry you're late, man, but this replay is going to be available. D Money came on here, dropped a ton of knowledge. If you're just coming on this show now, the bank is up on Canes Insight. Check it out for the latest in recruiting and team information. And CanesInsight.com is the place to be for the latest practice updates, the articles I'm posting every day. Keep it locked here on the Canes Insight YouTube page every Thursday night. And as always, dropping these podcasts throughout the week. Appreciate everyone for being on here. Go Canes.